Now, at the end of our last class, Mr. Sabev asked me to talk about the secret to building an inclusive organization. Now, he'd read a paper my wife and I and some co-authors have recently published regarding, oh, for shame, she's late, and she can't blame it on her wounded thing.
Can't anymore.
Oh, he's late too. So he went from KISS to AC/DC, and now he's wearing the Oakland Raiders shirt. I just don't know how to interpret this man.
It's the draft.
It's the draft.
Not the military draft. It's the
If you want people to know you're a hostile male and you can't afford a large pickup truck, just get an Oakland Raiders sticker.
I mean, I wore it at the bank and they make jokes. I wore an ankle bracelet.
The Raiders have always, I mean, I remember from the 70s, and it's like, how are these guys not in jail? Okay, back to the story. So, the secret to creative and inclusive organization. My wife and I, along with two other co-authors, published, and it was from the perspective of being neurodivergent. I think I've told you guys I'm slightly autistic, slightly or not slightly, depending on who you ask. My wife has been diagnosed with ADHD. That means that our clocks don't tick exactly the same as everybody else's. And so the paper was all about how do you make a workplace that's inclusive of these things. Now, it doesn't boil down to making accommodations for people. Let's talk about how you can make any workplace inclusive. So, oh, for shame. Plus he's wearing black socks and Crocs. Holy shit. Okay, so the CEO at the firm, he says, we need more cohesion. What's the goal of financial management? Maximize shareholder wealth. Why is the CEO concerned about cohesion? He thinks we could be more efficient if we'd actually work together, which, there's some truth to that, right? And so who does he reach out to? He reaches out to Karen from HR. You guys may already know Karen. Karen says, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I've got to do something to keep my phony baloney job. So what does she do? She says, I remember from kindergarten something called the golden rule. What's the golden rule?
Treat others how you want to be treated.
Yeah, treat others how you want to be treated. Some of you may have heard that in a Christian perspective. It actually goes way back across all sorts of different cultures. Almost every culture has their version of the golden rule. Okay, now, so what Karen says is, you know what? I know what I would like. I would like a big party with pointy hats. I can tell you guys aren't into the big party with pointy hats, and neither was I, right? Okay, so Karen's going to throw the big party with pointy hats, and there are some people who feel secure enough in their jobs, and this is the reason I wrote this guy's name up here. His name was Kaz. He was one of my dad's co-workers, and when he was being pressured into going to the company picnic, he said, and I quote, I may have to work with you bastards, but I don't have to socialize with you. Right? And so some people are going to not go to the party, but there are going to be some people who are in vulnerable positions who feel they must go to the party out of social pressure. For example, assistant professors. Assistant professors, if they don't get tenure, they get fired. Who votes on their tenure? Their coworkers, right? And so, if we think they're not being social, I would never do this, but some people would say, well, he's not very collegial. That's the word they use. Because he didn't go to the freaking hat and wear or go to the party and wear the pointy hat. Okay, so Karen, she throws the party and she notices that some people are missing and she notices that other people are miserable and then other people like me are standing in the corner trash talking Karen, right? Okay, so the next morning she says, well, that didn't work. I could tell that I had, probably different groups of people there. And so I needed to change my approach. And so what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to divide into 3 groups by some characteristic. And I couldn't tell you what it is, but she's got this figured out. And she says, I'm going to do something different for each group. Now, we don't have a name for this. We've got the golden rule. I'm going to teach you the platinum rule. I'm going to call this the crap rule. And the reason that the poo emoji is purple is because we didn't have any brown markers. Sorry about that. Okay, so here's the crap. The crap rule is that I'm going to divide these people up, and I'm going to do something different for each group. Now, Karen, of course, she knows everything. Is she going to actually talk to these people to figure out what the hell they want? No, she just assumes based on stereotypes in her head what each one of these groups would like. And so she's going to do something special for each one of these groups. But problem number one, heterogeneity within the group. Heterogeneity means that it's not all the same. If it's all the same, it's homogeneous. If it's not, it's heterogeneous. And I'm going to demonstrate it right now with some groups in this class. Raise your hand if you are a student athlete, have been or ever have been at all. Okay, now look around, the people that have their hands up. Do these people all have the exact same personality as you? No. Do they all have the same hopes, dreams, and aspirations as you? No. Does it make sense that putting the same thing out for all of you doesn't make any more sense than the pointy party hats, right? Okay, here let's do another group. International students, raise your hands. Do you guys have different concerns? Yeah, you've got different concerns. So you're not all the same, right? And so it doesn't make any sense to have these cookie cutter things for the different groups. So that's the first problem. The second part is envy. If I do something different for group A than I do for group B, or group B than I do for group C, we always have the possibility of envy. And I want to show you this video. I want you to watch very closely. Are you ready? It's not long. Okay, who was responsible for dividing up the treats? The owner. Who does the dog get mad at? Yeah, not the owner, right? Gets mad at the two stuffed dogs, right? And so this problem of envy, it doesn't lead, it also causes the people to hate the manager, especially Karen, but it causes trouble between the groups is the important thing, and that actually leads to less cohesion, which is exactly what the opposite of what we were trying to achieve. So, what can we do here? Well, there's a couple of things. Number one, I'm going to teach you about the platinum rule. Does anyone know the platinum rule? By the way, platinum is more precious than gold. Did you know that? Okay, here's the platinum rule. Do unto others as they would have done unto them. Not what I think they would want, but what they actually want. Do unto others as they would have done unto them. Now, how in the world am I going to know what they would have done unto them? By the way, do you think it's the same for everybody? No, if it was, this would work. But it's not. How do I find out? Ask them. So I had this guy, and his name was Bobby. Bobby was pushing 60 at the time. He was a magnificent machinist, and I forget what miracle he pulled off. And I dropped by his machine. I said, Bobby, thank you so much. He said, oh, you're welcome. I said, I'd like to recognize you in front of the group. He said, if you do, I'll quit. Does the same, yeah, some of you are like, yeah, that'd be great. And others are like, forget that, right? But how do you know? You ask. And I said, well, Bobby, I'd like to do something nice for you. What could I do? He said, how about a $50 gift certificate to the Outback Steakhouse? That was back when the Outback Steakhouse was good. Anyway, and when $50 could feed you and your wife nicely, right? Even including dessert. And so that's what I did. And so talk to people, ask them, find out. And here is the other thing. Oh, by the way, fairness. Is fairness doing the same thing for everyone? No. Fairness is having a good reason for treating people differently. Having a good reason for treating people differently. One good reason to treat people differently? Not everybody wants to be recognized in front of the group, right? Okay, now let's talk about comparative advantage. Hopefully you guys took an economics class at one point or another and you paid attention enough to know that not everybody is equally good at everything. For example, Arkansas is really good at making chickens, terrible at growing apples. Washington is great at growing apples, terrible at making chickens. If we have both of those states working at their comparative advantage and trading with each other, they're both better off. Now, I'll give you an example of comparative advantage. So Jim was responsible for the group that did the testing of the valves that my group built. And his was the last step. I had to get to pass the test there before I could get it shipped out. And so I had one that we were running late on, and I wanted to convince Jim to put my valve further up in the queue. And so I went to his morning meeting where he assigned work. And it was really interesting because Jim was a former naval officer. How would you expect a former naval officer to give out work? You do this, you do that, right? That's what I was expecting. But here's what Jim did. Jim said, hey, I've got a 78 double out 417. Who'd like that one? Hector Caballero raises his hand. He says, I'll take that one. Now, by the way, do you think if people have been doing this long enough, they have certain favorite things they like to do? Yeah. And so he did that, and I thought, wow, that is freaking amazing. Now, is there always going to be someone that's willing to step up and take these things voluntarily? No. And so those are called SLJs, or crappy little jobs, right? And what you do with those is you pass them around, right? Everybody has to dip their finger in that pile of muck, and it's a bonding experience, right? We all had to do it. It's kind of like teaching Finance 380 here at MSU. We've all had to do it, right? Okay. Now, and so what Jim did, and Jim's people really liked Jim as a supervisor. I really liked Jim. Jim made us all look good. Now, along the lines of inclusiveness, I'm going to share one thing about Jim. Jim was gay. Do you think any of us cared? No! Jim made me look good. He treated his guys right. No one cared. So now the next thing here is to bring it to my personal situation. As faculty, you guys know about our teaching, you know somewhat about our research, but the other thing that we do is called service. And that is where some of the things that we do are recruiting, right? And when we recruit, there's basically two jobs you can do. There is giving tours of glass hall, or working a table. When you give the tours, I'm leading a group of about this size, and this is apparently my sweet spot, because I'm lousy one-on-one, and I'm lousy with huge groups, but by golly, I can handle tours. My wife, on the other hand, is really good with small numbers of people, so working at the table as people randomly come up. Oh, for shame, he's late! But those shoes, oh my goodness, you're forgiven. And so, you know, I'm good at this, she's good at that. Should the people force us into one or the other of these? No, they should let us do this, right? And then going to graduation. And this is what really kind of led us to write this paper. I've told you I'm autistic. Loud noises are really, really bad for me. I freaking hate it. And there's always some a-hole with an air horn, right? I hate that. And my wife's got ADHD. She can't sit still, right? And so there we are. I'm freaking out. She's fidgeting. It's awful, right? Let us do these things. There are people who enjoy doing this. They enjoy it a lot. Let them do that, right? And we'll all be happier, and there will be people who are glad that I'm doing tours because they hate to do that, right? And I'm grateful to people who will go to graduation because I've told you, that guy with the air horn, I'm just all over him, right? Okay, now, one of the benefits of this is that we give people a feeling of autonomy. Autonomy. Are you happier when you can kind of choose your path in life, or when you're just being told? Yeah, if you get to choose. In fact, this is a big, big, big part of job satisfaction is autonomy. And when you give people the chance to choose what valve they test, or to choose how they serve, as long as the work's getting done, who cares, right? The people are happier. Wow, that's probably my longest secret too. Are there any questions? Mr. Sabev, was that?
That was pretty good.
Goal, thank you. By the way, should you give high performers more autonomy? Yeah. And there are some people that you basically have to follow them around with a sharp stick to get them to do anything. There's no autonomy for them. In fact, you remember that crappy job I told you about earlier? I'm going to have them do that job over and over again until either they quit or they stop being trouble.